Published by Humble and developed by Gus Department, Aegis Defenders is a game that was crowdfunded via Kickstarter campaign. With a total of 4,077 backers, Gus Department received the grand total amount of $145,815. So it was safe to say that this game had what it needed to be realized. Actually, the three main people who started the Gus Department indie development entity was Bryce Coe, who serves as the director for Aegis Defenders and is also an amazing illustrator whose artwork is detailed and rather unique. Lifu Lin, who serves as the engineer for Aegis Defender, and lastly Scott Steven, who serves as the lead producer. All of these guys were graduate students of the University of Southern California. But it was just not these three that helped make this game what it is. They also had help from a few others. To understand some of the hardships and lessons learned when trying to get this game off the ground, I recommend reading Scott's multiple posts entitled Aegis Defenders, Crowdfunding Post-Mortem. Link will be in the description if you want to check it out. Since the time this game was first presented to the public by the Kickstarter video, and comparing it to what we have today in the finished product, it's evident that a significant amount of changes were apparently made, such as the levels, the way each character converse with each other, the cosmetic look of menus, and also many other things. Even though these changes were made over time throughout the game's development, the general principle of its gameplay remained unchanged and intact. On February 8, 2018, Aegis Defenders were released to the public. I love rocking with the PS4 version, so I'll be reviewing that version. So let's get into it. Aegis Defenders tells the story of these two characters by the name of Bart and Clue. Both are relatives that are ruin hunters, pretty much people that look for artifacts of value and then sell them to the highest bidder. One day they stumbled across this old looking machine which is, and you guessed it, an Aegis. Think of what would happen in the future if nations were fighting with each other, and one nation had a powerful Gundam at their disposal while the other lands only had sticks and stones and a few guns to work with. This perfectly paints the level of power that Aegis grants. After Bart and Clue discovered this machine, it's not too long before others become interested in it. Along their journey, they will come into contact with other characters who become your companions, learn more about this world history and why things became the way they are, and also learn about things that took place in each individual character's past. The presentation of Aegis Defenders utilizes two distinct styles of art. The first style, of course, is the 16-bit art, which is primarily the visual representation that you will see throughout this game. The second type is the hand-drawn art style, which will be seen during the cutscenes that take place at pivotal moments of the game's storyline. The characters are very much animated and distinct in their designs thanks to the beautiful art direction of Bryce Coe. And the bright and vibrant to dark neon colors gives the player some visuals to behold. The color palette that this game utilizes, the details put into the characters and environments are just gorgeous. The variety and level designs are really impressive as well. Nothing seems to be copy and paste nor repeated. As far as the hand-drawn art styles, the visual representation of these small 16-bit characters being humanized and represented to you in still frames don't look bad either. The last thing I want to say about this game presentation is how well the camera display was done when multiple players are playing co-op. When two players are playing, the camera automatically splits and changes depending on where one character is located in contrast to the other player. When both characters are near each other, both camera displays become one so seamlessly. This to me was masterfully done and made things easier when playing with somebody else. Aegis Defenders gameplay provides various styles found within different gaming genres. The main three are platforming and puzzle solving, side-scrolling action, which is another word for Metroidvania-like gameplay, and lastly tower defense. I'll be breaking each of these three different gameplay styles down and how it corresponds with the three genres mentioned. Instead of playing as one character, you're going to be fluctuating between multiple in order to utilize their strengths to maneuver through obstacles and to stay alive. The player has the ability to call over their companion when they are not behind certain doors, more on that later, or it can signal the other character to stand in a specific place until being called again. Every character has their own benefits, ways of doing things, and their uses, so it's good for the player to become very familiar with each character so you can optimize your strategies and increase your efficiency. But in order to stay alive, you have to be aware of what is going on your screen. So let's go over the basics first of what's displayed on your screen. These red hearts are your character's health. Get hit too many times and you lose hearts, and when they are all gone, it's game over. The yellow hearts belong to what you will be protecting. There are also yellow hearts found on stages that can be added to your overall number that you already have. The pictures located in the middle of the screen are characters you can control or play as for that level. And lastly, these things located on the right side of the screen are the number of resources you will find on your journey to craft things with. More on that in a sec though. Now for the breakdown of the different gameplay styles this game is going to take you through. So obviously, looking at the 2D game, you can recognize the popular mechanics that you can find within a side-scrolling game that possesses the general elements of a platformer. Getting from point A to point B is the name of the game, or at least surviving until you reach the destination. However, one of the game mechanics in this game that more so earned the puzzle solving title is due to the game's crafting system. Crafting items is one of the skills you're going to need to have knowledge of in order to survive. You can craft everything from blocks to turrets and soon dragon heads. Each item you craft requires a combination of items with specific amounts of each to create something. You start off with learning how to create objects and tools by combining two of the same items. But as soon as the player learns the rewards that come with combining materials that are different, this would unlock more advanced items. Some of the necessary materials may actually come from one of the playable characters you have to team up with. This encourages experimentation, especially when you understand that each character and what they craft coincides with the character's personality. For example, Clue's strength is creating bombs and traps she set for your enemies, and it's more on the offensive side of things. This goes well with her young and somewhat energetic personality, while Bart's strength is built a mechanism that is more so on the defensive side of things through his methodical approach. You can see this in the way he approaches situations in the game's stories through his character. Wise and not really quick to make a move unless he is ready and have enough information to validate and clarify such behaviors. When the player gets used to this system, it is soon understood that each item you craft serves a practical purpose and must be used properly and creatively. Your knowledge of this skill is going to be used in your traversals through each level, for each individual character and collectively. If you don't have any way of gaining access to a certain area with the current character you're playing as, the next important question should be, what can I build to solve this problem and who has the materials needed for this solution? More than likely, what you think may be the answer to your problem. This will really be enforced by the different colored doors you will come in contact with on many levels. You will notice that each door has a color on them which gives a subtle hint as to the character that you will have to use. For example, Clue is blue and Bart is yellow. When these doors appears, be ready to divide and conquer. Each member you play with all brings something crucial and unique to the playable dynamics of Aegis Defenders. So no character is useless and teamwork makes the dream work. As I stated before, Aegis Defenders obviously is a side-scroller game, and each character has their own way to defend themselves. This is where the terminology action comes into play. Each character comes with their own quirk and weapons for defeating monsters. Clue, Bart, and every other character you play with can utilize two different weapons, with each having its own specific uses that could bring you victory if you use them correctly for the proper circumstance. For example, Clue's weapons are a bow and arrow and two twin pistols. She is good in the realm of causing some major damage via projectiles. She also has the ability to dash backwards quickly and charge up her attacks. When it comes to airborne enemies, she is great to have in your team because of her arsenal. Bart, on the other hand, has a hammer and another weapon which can do more damage to enemies. While building and crafting items, his hammer quickens the time it will take for it to be created. He can also be used as somewhat of a tank due to his ability to block and hold off incoming enemies who are primarily ground-based. If you can recall what I said about encountering doors being color coordinated for specific characters that is specified for, certain enemies go by that same concept. If the color of an enemy is blue or yellow, you should know which character is better suited to face off against them. If you try to defeat an enemy whose color does not coincide with the characters that you're using to face off against it, you can still defeat it. The only catch is that the attack that you will dish out to it will only cause minimal damage. This works for majority of monsters that you will run into. However, once you attain more powerful weapons, this game mechanic wouldn't be something that you have to worry about. But if you're just starting out Aegis Defenders, take heed to the color coordination rule. Another thing that is noteworthy is that you will be coming into contact with monsters in which in order for you to defeat it, you must use two characters in order to take it down. And again, remember what I said, teamwork makes the dream work. The last element of this game is tower defense. At the end of pretty much every level, you will enter an area which is introduced via a story sequence, where you will be tasked to defend an item or a person from waves of enemies. You will be asked a question to see if you're prepared to enter into this tower defense segment. If you choose to continue, a timer begins and you will have a short amount of time to set your defenses for the incoming wave of attacks. I suggest that before the player starts, they should become more familiar with the environment and territory to grasp the idea of where the enemies will be coming from, understand how each terrain could be used to your advantage, and take the time out to require resources and use those to build your defenses as a preemptive move before initiating those tower defense segments. If you do these things before a battle, you should be sitting in a comfortable position. And as the other old saying goes, if you are already ready, you don't have to get ready. However, do not be overconfident because each battle is different. And as you enter them more, the player may be surprised by the multiple mechanics that will have the player coming up with new strategies on the fly, due to certain changes in environments, levels where you are constantly on the move rather than protecting something that is stationary, dealing with incoming obstacles and other things. Even though you may believe that you have a one-up on your enemies due to how prepared you are, always be on your toes because something could always change the flow of a battle. Now in these moments, everything that you have learned in regards to knowing your characters, their combat capabilities and elements found in crafting, they are all going to be put to the test. When the waves of enemies begin to come in, it's best that you take my advice because they're going to be flooding in, and with one minor mistake, the enemies can overpower you. So be careful. You are going to find yourself switching between characters on the fly, putting them in position and crafting like your life depends on it. How much health you have left for whatever you're protecting is depicted by the hearts at the top of the screen. Too many hits and you have to start over at the moment before the tower defense segment began. As I said before, if you can master this in a stable environment, try mastering this when protecting something that is on the move. The last thing which is important to note is your accumulation of this game's currency. There are two types which serves as tenders for different people located in the hub area. The hub area is pretty much the place where you can save your progress in the game, purchase upgrades, look at your relics collected, or depart for the next area to explore. One type of currency is known as chips. These can be acquired by finding them throughout the levels and in your preparation phase earlier during your tower defense portions and fulfilling requirements which is only shown to the player at the end of each level. These requirements may consist of finding relics, finishing the level with a certain amount of health intact, and other tasks. The second type of currency I believe are called Ruin Hunter points. At the hub area, you can use these different tenders to purchase specific upgrades from specific characters. For example, Bar only sells upgrades for the type of things that you can craft. He can also increase their level so what you craft can be more powerful and useful. The lady at the concession stand that goes by the name of Amber sells weapons, and just like Bart, she also sells the upgrades for those weapons as well. More shops are unlocked with the characters you obtain the further you get into the game's story. So I would suggest saving up to get stronger weapons and higher level of things to craft, or else you're going to be looking at a lot of game overs. The sound design of Aegis Defenders is actually great. Hearing a nice little clank when Bart is constructed something is charming. Monsters sound like they just exploded in a poof when they are defeated. The sound of fire burning through things, or even hearing clue fire off of twin pistols, are sounds that you're going to grow accustomed to hearing. This game has a little bit of voice acting too. Unfortunately, it's only grunts, onomatopoeias, and like 1 or 2 words spoken to signify who is talking, followed by the text of what they're actually communicating to another character. But overall, the sound design of Aegis Defenders is actually nice. The music for Aegis Defenders was done by Riley Koenig and features arguably some of the most relaxing and soothing music to be put into a game. I mean, it's so soothing to the point where if you're not careful, you can go to sleep to it. Out of all the tracks on this game's OST, the 2 you're definitely going to have stuck in your head due to the many times you're going to hear it are Caravan, which is played during the time that you're in the hub area, and another song called Defend, which is heard during your preparation phase and your enemy phase when the monsters are attacking. You can check out the OST for yourself. The soundtrack is available where music is sold digitally for the most part. Links to where you can listen to it will be provided in the description below. Now that I've went over the background, gameplay, music, and sound design, it's time for me to rate Aegis Defenders. I'm going to give Aegis Defenders a 9 out of 10. I had fun all the way during my playtime in this game, and how the creators experimented with the different playstyles is something that not all game creators can successfully pull off. The only thing that I wish that this game had more of was voice acting. And that's about it. A lot of love was put into this game, and for the price of $20, I would consider this game a true hidden gem. This game is available now for Steam, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation 4. Congratulations to everyone who worked on Aegis Defenders, because this most certainly was an experience I enjoyed. And with that said, I fully recommend you checking out Aegis Defenders. Peace out, everyone.